Hail now and well met, adventurers. Gather round, and let me tell you of the days of daring journeys and dark peril. Approach the table as we explore the adventurer's path. Hey everybody, Shep here. Got something a little bit different for us this morning. Our adventuring group is on a mission currently. They're hunting out for some bandits on a mission for the widow. Also, kind of sidelining into it, a lead that they had picked up from a merchant's wife. He's gone missing, and so the hope is that maybe these two plot points can converge together. So now, while our group in the next session is going to be hunting for the bandits, eventually we're going to need to come upon a bandit lair of some kind. So our previous delve that we did was in a pre-made adventure space. We don't have this one yet. So what I thought we'd do this morning is create a dungeon together. So I've got the Elixir of Vitality set. I've got the notepad, all the setting stuff. So let's get after it and see what we can make for our adventuring group. So if you remember, our group is currently right here in 1526. This is the lead. We're kind of in this space between the two towns, thinking the bandits may be around here somewhere. So for me, when it comes to dungeon design, I grew up in the early 80s and those spaces where the dungeons that we played with had a lot of kind of gonzo design, some really strange stuff and just odd off the wall kind of things. You could group all kinds of things together. They didn't make sense. For me, I like kind of a bit more of the grittier, grounded approach. And so I like all of mine to make sense. So when it comes to starting with a dungeon design, I want to look at the environment we're at, look at what we're dealing with, and then see where we can go from there. So go into our trusty notepad here. We're going to start off and think about where we're at. So we're in 1526, so we know that much so far. It is mountainous, and it's along a trade road. So we know that that goes through there. And so now I know we need a bandit lair. Question is, what kind? So let me think through what are some good options. Let me bring this a little over this way so you can see what I'm thinking and working on. And again, you know, I try to keep things a little bit grounded. So we're in a mountainous region. So one of the obvious things that we could use is a cave. Sometimes in the mountains, we could find a hidden canyon, like a little crack canyon somewhere that opens up, that they could have something there. Maybe there's an abandoned fort. Similar, but different layout that we'd have to work with. An abandoned tower. So rather than kind of a little bit of a sprawly thing with some gaps, you know, we're looking at a vertical structure there. Could be something as simple as an abandoned, well, that was real messy. If it was just me, I'd be rewriting it, but you guys don't want to watch that. Could be an abandoned farmstead, you know, something, you know, a barn, maybe a house, and they're just using that. That would be pretty rudimentary, not some really successful bandits, I don't think. Or somewhere out, you know, in a little sparse set of trees or something. They could just have a makeshift camp. So be a little bit exposed there. Probably from these things so far, I think I like the farmstead and the camp the least. But let's take a look. Let's see, you know, what the setting guide tells us, if there's a little bit more. So we're in 1526. So rocky and mountainous, hard terrain for travel. area has sheer winds, so definitely don't want kind of that makeshift camp. That would be real bad in this kind of environment. Direwolves apparently are on the loose around here. An abandoned mine. That might bring a cool location feature and our campaign needs together in one thing. So if we look at the cave option here, and we move from the cave to a mine shaft, been abandoned for years, nobody has a reason to go there. Perfect place, give you shelter from those winds, some protection and shelter from the things that might be lurking around in the area. That might be our ideal. So let's start working with that and see what we can figure out for a bandit lair that's a cave. All right, we'll come back to some other details in a minute. We're going to flip over to a new page here. We're going to move this stuff out of the way. We don't need this at the moment, so we're going to pass the book off over this way. Just give us plenty of space to work here. Let's see. So I think I'm going to want to build upward this time. I'm not a great map maker. I love maps, but not a great map maker. So bear with me. We know we're going to have a cliff face. So it's going to go right along here. So give us kind of the elevation idea. And just for consistency, for me, the elevation always shows the direction that's up. So if you have this open side, that's ground, and that's the new rise you're going to, because we may have some elevation changes as we move in. Carry this all the way over. Taller surface. Comes down a little bit. And eventually we're going to need to put an entrance in here. So we'll put our entrance right about here. There's the dark portal into the entrance. And let's switch over to this. I don't usually use this tool, so let's see how this goes. Yeah, let's do that. So there's our highlighter tool. It's giving us a subtle trail. Leads up to there. Switch back over. Now, if this is a mining camp, had to be some outbuildings, things like that. Most of them may have fallen down. I mean, you may work in the mines, but you're going to be camping and doing things outside. So we'll have a building out here. Yeah, door to the front, little shack. So we got a little building over there. Some things piled up around the outside. And we'll put a building over this way. Door off the side there. Little stuff stacked up along the side there. I need to take a class in map making someday. I don't know, is there any online classes in map drawing? So, okay, so we'll have a couple of outbuildings there. And now we need to start figuring out how to explore inside. And so I know we're going to need a sleeping room. You got to have that at least. You got to have a classic loot room. Need a guard room. How about this? We'll also create a cooking room. Oh, we're hoping at least that there's a space where maybe they're keeping prisoners. Maybe people they want to ransom back, something like that, a valuable person, And so maybe they're upping their game. They're going from just thievery to, hey, why don't we ransom some of these people back, get a twofer on it. So we need a prison/jail space. You've got to have the boss's room. Okay, so we know we need at least these. There may be some more stuff in there. So let's start figuring it out. So we're going to start the cave up this way. I know there's a lot of different ways where, you roll the dice, figure out how many rooms you have, and you can even cast them and then draw around that way. Again, I'd like to try and make it make sense, at least in my brain, and make it work a little organically. So we're going to have the cave. I just kind of draw things as I go. And, that's the thing I love about this. If I need, I can just erase it and start over again. And so from here, let's make we're going to erase something. Let's make the very first offshoot over this way. So we're going to make a short tunnel that goes this way, intentionally short. And we're going to put a room here. Because right by the entrance, what you're going to need is a guard room. Totally makes sense. If you're going to keep an eye, keep it close by. And so we'll put, some elevation changes here. They're elevated up. So there's some rises that bring us up this way. And so we've got the guard room there. Then keep misaiming there. That'll be close enough. So we're going to go up a little. We'll make this go over this way some. Carry on over this way. And what do we have here? Don't know yet. We're going to have this, and we'll have this one descend down. Obviously, it descends and goes down. And so this tunnel starts heading down into whatever this room is here. Carry us up this way. And here, because this was a mining space at one point. So, there would be some basic structure to it, some symmetry here and there as they begin to search and flow. I don't know why. This feels like a bigger room. Don't know why. Down or up? Down or up? Let's say low, high. Low. So it's going to go down on us here. Change in elevation. Just a little bit, couple little steps downward. Then we're going to go this way. And, one of the things I've always loved seeing is inside of maps where you've got that gap. You suddenly end up with that canyon that's inside of a cave. You've got the rope bridge, everything going across. So I think I want to put one of those in here somewhere. I don't know if it's just a chasm, water flowing through, not sure, but we're going to do that. We're going to put this right here, and we're going to open it up, and let's just start a bridge right here. So we're going to put a bridge across this, not a long one. Our bridge. There's our elevation drop. And over this side, I have no idea what's going to end up being in this space on the other side of this bridge, but we're going to put this here. We may come back and we may make some changes to the space, just its shape. I'm kind of making them a little boxy. We may make them oblong and a little weird and different. And so the tunnel kind of goes this way. I make a bit of a jag. It's something everybody forgets, which we'll include here. Normally I don't bother doing either because who cares, is the latrine. Nobody cares about that. So this, I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be the latrine space. And we'll make it to where there is a hole in the ground right there. And we'll even say it goes down. It's like custom built for a bandit lair. So it goes downward, and there's a hole down in the earth down that way. And then we're towards the back of the cave. So that's going to give us our big room. So now we've got kind of a general layout, but it's pretty linear. We've got some lefts, rights, things like that, but it's not doing a lot for us. So let's see. We've already said this is the guard room. So if this is the guard room, why don't we connect it over to this room? Not sure what it's going to be, but we know. I'm going to mark it so we just know that that's the guard room there. If it's a guard room, it has, let's say, a rough plank table. They found it in an outbuilding. Look at this. They're obviously going to not be to scale. And there's oops, put my chair back. There's a chair there, chair there. If they're bandits, they're clearly going to be humans. So since they're bandits, there's a torch over here. We're going to back that up. Okay. Nope, took the chair away. Chair. So we'll not use a little light thing because that's unhelpful since it looks like that. And we'll put another torch up over this way. So this will be kind of the guard room where they get to hang out. Maybe, so we put that. We set a cooking room. Maybe the guard room connects over to the cooking room. So let's start making some mods here. So let's say that there is a path that went this way, connecting around. Now, we have an elevation up. We have an elevation down. So we're going to need to go down from here that way. So we're going to need to have a number of elevation changes because we already are up and now we're down. So it's going to take quite a few steps to get us this way. Probably the level of detail is not going to matter, but I'm drawn. I'm having a good time. So, okay, so we bring that in there. So we're in the cooking room now. And cooking room, you know what? Why don't we do this? We'll put a little knot here to the back end. And the back end over here, this is maybe where there is a naturally occurring chimney space. And so this is where they actually do the cooking because there's, a chimney out that way. So a little hole, chimney goes out that way. Then we're going to have, a rough hewn plank table. Bench along each side, maybe just, logs split and heaved up. We're going to have, some of their stash. They've been robbing merchants. So, they've got salted meats, things like that, some water barrels, maybe some ale and things like that piled up over here. Barrels, you got crates as well. So, crate there. Crate there. Okay, so A little bit of a shift, some interesting space there. Okay, let's see. What else do we need? If we're going to have a prison and a loot room, why don't we put those across our bridge? Keep things, out of easy reach, things like that. Again, let's try to make the space a little more interesting and engaging. So we're going to put a knot here. And what if this is kind of a drop down space? So we got that elevation change. And so in the back of this space, we're going to put some little manacles here. And this is where they're going to keep some prisoners. And then in this space, any actual, financial loot will be kept in here. So we already know this is the latrine. This is the loot room. This is the prison. This is the kitchen. Probably take all these little marks away later on. Okay, so now loot room, got that. I don't like the boss room being up front. I don't mind that this space is here, but I just don't think it's helpful for what we're thinking. And you know what? Let's do this too. That little knob sitting there so close was just kind of interesting. Let's just say it's not a secret door, but it is a hidden narrow passage. So very tight, narrow passage that just kind of moves right through there. May have to really try and find that in order to see the way into here. So not sure what's in there yet. But at least, it's a little more interesting. We get some ways to move around this place. And if we've got this gorge here, I love the idea of that bridge gorge. Maybe, does it cut through this space? Yeah, let's make that kind of a feature. And so might give us some interesting random encounter monster options because of that space there. So let's bring that in. A little highlighter right through here. Again, I have no idea what this space is going to do, but it now has this connecting canyon from there to there. Probably can't see it, but they're there. So eventually we're going to need to get to the place where the bandits sleep, and so by default we're going to be back here. Oh, we're going to need some more torches, because again, human eyes. Still in the highlighter. Flip back over. We'll put a torch right there. We'll got ones there. Campfires towards the back, but we'll need some torches in here to generally illuminate the room. Need one in the latrine as well. Maybe just one in here, keep that a fairly dark room. One down the hall here. One down the hall here. Again, don't know what this is, but we don't want this space revealed, so we're going to keep the torch kind of over that way, illuminate it fairly softly. So now, let's take a look at this room. So we're going to make this... There's sheer winds. So in order to sleep well, they're going to have created a wall break here. Also could be a little defensive spot. But they're going to create kind of a wooden wall. Gives them some relief from the wind. Maybe they're thinking kind of a last stand space just in case, they're ever found by the guard and trapped here. So there's going to be their wood wall space. And they can close it off, hide back in here. We got a torch over this way. So we're going to have bedrolls, obviously. So blanket and pillow configuration. My mapping tool uses this, so it's kind of how I just think of these things. Don't know how many guys these are that are staying in this space, but this is just kind of representative, if you will. Okay, and even though they've got a wind block, they're still going to need a low fire of some kind. Be able to campfire right there in the center. So they're going to need some torches in here. So they've got one there. Going to need one here. One here. One here. It's a big room. So we've got that. But the question is, does the boss just sleep in the same room with them? That doesn't seem right. Classic boss, always got to have his own space. So let's just go ahead and take this space here and let's make it a little more distinctive. So we're going to bring the wall around like this, and it's going to come around here. We'll even make it raised. He just feels real proud of himself, whoever this guy is. So we got that space. He's obviously got his bedroll. And, he's going to have his own private loot. Well, they've got group loot. I mean, he's the boss. He's got his own stuff over here. Okay, so we've got a couple of connecting points, a couple different ways to go. You know what? I always like the idea that there's the option the boss guy could escape, come back for later. So with that being the case, let's see about making a secret exit. So let's put it right in the back of his space, and perhaps it's a kind of a thin alcove. It's kind of just a crack that goes into the cave, and it goes up and out. It's time to change the pointer on this thing. It's getting a little wonky. And it's going to be a secret door, and he's got it covered by like a drape or something, And to make sure it's not obvious, he's going to put another one over this way. So that way, it's hiding this one. It doesn't look weird that it's there because there's another one. Maybe they're banners of some kind that he's sequestered away. So now he's got a secret exit. We've got the lair set up. Now the question we're going to have is, what are the denizens of this place like? Because we've gotten the boss's room, the sleeping room. Okay, so we've got that. What are some options here? So we've got bandits, obviously. Take bandits straight out of the core book. We can have thugs. Thugs, pretty much like bandits, just without a missile weapon. Let's see, we could have like a mercenary type figure. We could use, let's use ex-soldiers. maybe between the different warlords fighting and things like that, they become disillusioned. So we'll use soldiers, so they're a little bit better than bandits are normally. So we'll put soldiers as an option. And then the leader. Is he a knight? Like a fallen knight? You know what? It was really interesting, I thought, when we faced the necromancer earlier, having a spellcaster against us, I think was interesting. So let's do that. Let's create a spellcaster of some kind. And while these guys are going to be the actual standard derps that we'll face, this will be the boss. So we'll deal with him separately. And we'll even flesh him out. We'll use one of the character classes from the setting to do that with. So, okay, with all that, now let's come back to our scratch pad. Let's see what else we've got. So this setting stuff. One of the things that we're going to need to figure out is a random encounter table. So I love random encounter tables. And I love having random encounters that are specific to a setting. So we're in a cave, so obviously we could have another bandit come upon us. Cave. I'm just trying to think of stuff from either the core book or even the Sundered Lands Setting. So we could have dung beetles. Cave. We could have a cave creeper. Haven't run into one of those yet. I know there's some as random encounters elsewhere in the book, but haven't run into one yet. Dire rat, always a classic in a cave there. Or variant, we could have the rat swarm. Faced one of those. Loved that a ton. The stingbat. The stingbat, classic for a cave. We could have a wolf, kind of one that's wandering in the region. But if it's going to be wandering into this cave, let's make it a corrupted wolf. And we'd have to use the corruption rules and mechanics that are inside of the Sundered Lands setting to make that. But we'll have that. Oh, you know, it'd be real interesting. A choker. Something we haven't really seen, a cave dweller, but that could be cool. We could get a corrupted giant spider. Well, something a little bit simpler. We could go corrupted spiders. Let's get a host of those. We go giant snake. We could get a night writhe. We haven't seen that yet, but that is a creature unique to the setting here. Ooh, something just vicious. We could end up with a corrupted bear. So the chaos of the mist is twisted, a brown bear, truly deadly. Since we're in a cave, a little low level, but we could have a dark mantle. Oh, another great cave dweller, a chul. I think that's how you pronounce that. That's how I'm pronouncing it. Oh, another cave dweller, a cloaker, I think it is. No, caves, duh. Bat swarm. Well, I'm forgetting all swarmy. We could go with a centipede swarm. Or we could even go with thorn dusk. Again, another unique creature to the setting. So I'm going to stop writing there. I think that's a lot of different options. So normally we go a D6, but how many got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Whoa. So we could push one more or cut it down Wow. Why don't we cut it down? And instead of the standard D6, there's just so many cool options here. Let's not go with the D6. Let's make it a D12. So let me see. We haven't encountered a choker, so I definitely want that one. So we'll just start assigning them numbers actually as we go. So that one's going to be our 1. Let's see. Cave creeper. Oh, we're in a cave. What a great space to meet it. Stingbat's pretty good. Let's see. Dark mantles. Those go in caves. And you know what? I love the fact, if you remember, we've got this canyon that goes through here. That's going to give us options for all kinds of weird stuff that may be flying up in through there or crawling up out of it. So this may be a source of a number of our random encounters that are more monstrous like that. So we'll do that. Cloaker, obviously another cave dweller. Bat swarm seems good. Chul is another cave dweller. Night Wraith. I think that would be really cool if we could pull that one in just to be able to show that off. So not sure I'm going to enjoy encountering it, but hey, it's at least something to show off there. Well, because of that, let's then add the Thorn Dusk. That brings us to 8. So, let's do some things to avoid kind of repetition. Well, there can always be another bandit, right? So if we're at 8, there goes 9, 3 more. Corrupted giant spider. We're in a big dark cave. Seems good. Don't want the giant snake because we already got the night ride. We only get 2 left. Centipede we've already got. Let's go with the wolf. That seems like something that might kind of come up from the cave entrance and come in at us. And then let's go with the rat swarm. Okay, so that's going to give us our monster table. Now let's come back out over to our map. Oh, we've got an unfinished room here. So what if we... What if there's just, I mean, it's kind of a classic, but if there's a training room here. So we got like a target there. Can't go outside to train. And we'll put a, have to do it sideways over this way. A little weapon rack here. And some swords and things just hanging from there. Looks like a meat rack, but that's okay. So this will be a place for them just to work off energy because you can't do it outside. Don't want to be seen. So this is a training room. Now, let's see. So if we're going to map this out and we want to have this prepared for us, we're going to have, let's say, that hidden in one of these, we've got a scout. We've got a soldier there, one hiding in each one of these buildings here. So that'll give us kind of an initial guard encounter right there, if you will. And then, well, there's a guard room, and I think I'm going to take the thugs off. Thugs are basically bandits just without the ranged option. So we're just gonna use bandits and soldiers. So we'll have a couple of bandits here. So we'll have 2 of them on guard here. We'll have, if there's anybody over here, it'd be a soldier, right? Oh, you know what we also need? We need a trap. These guys, while they've got guards here, the guards are a little bit out of sight. So how are they going to know? We're going to put a bell trap. Simple, easy. But we're going to have a trap right there. So maybe it's a kind of trap that, I'm going to write that down, that if you hit the trip line, it jingles the bell. So they've, picked up the discipline. Some of them are soldiers or ex-soldiers. you step over before you head in. But if anybody doesn't know, probably going to kick it, pull the string, bells clatter, and these guys are at least alerted. So that may create an encounter there. Now, as we come deeper in, it feels like if you're going to have prisoners back here, you're going to need a guard over this way. So we're going to put a soldier or an ex-soldier that way. In the mess hall, we're going to put a soldier, bandit, and a bandit there. We may need more than that. We may find that it's too easy the way I roll. Probably not. But for now, we're just going to populate it like that. Because we also have the random encounters. We're going to put this, since these guys actually stay here, and there's some crazy random encounters coming through the cave, it wouldn't be too much, or they just wouldn't even stay. So we're going to make this unsafe rather than risky or deadly. So with it being unsafe, that's going to be 1 per 3 on the encounter. So now back in this space, we're going to put the spellcaster. You know what I'd love? I think what I like is the idea of, so I'm drawing a little nest space here, and we're going to give him a mastiff, like a guard dog. Make it a little harder to sneak up on him. So the mastiff is over there, and then we're actually going to put SP. No. We're going to put B. He's the big bad. And so the big bad is over there in his space. And we'll put a soldier here. See, we're going to make him like level 4. That's a level 1 monster. 2. We'll put a couple more bandits in this space. And if we encounter some on the road, which we're going to need to do to find our way back here eventually, this makes them a group of, let's just say it's a group of 4 we encounter on the road. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of them. Unlucky number. I like that. So we'll leave it at this for now, and any others will be rando bandits that we'll encounter. So I think that gives us a good starting map. Maybe I'll make some adjustments before the play session. We'll see. But now we need to get our spellcaster open. And so by the time you watch this video, by the way, there's going to be a character builder released on DriveThruRPG. And there'll be a link down in the show notes there, so you can get over to that. This character builder is bringing together all of the character classes for the Sundered Lands. It's bringing it from the actual source book and each one of the setting books. And once I start rolling, I just can't help myself. So I built all of those or pulled them all together into this one space. That way you don't have to flip through random books or anything else. They're all in one space. Couldn't help myself. I made some more. And so there's a bunch more character classes that you can pick from and look at. And so we're going to take a look at the character builder. I don't even have a printed copy of it yet, but I'm going to be looking at my digital copy here. And from the list, let's do this. Brand new one. We're going to make this guy a Hex Weaver. So the Hex Weaver is a new spell casting class. And so we're just going to give him, I'm going to do kind of a standardized array rather than rolling for all of his stats. And so for the array, it's going to be a 0, a 0, a 1, a 1, a 2, and a 3. So his strength, come on, been doing this for almost 40 years, dude. Strength, that one's going to be a +0. His dex, we're going to make that a 1. His con, we're going to make a 1. His intelligence, let's see, the Hex Weaver casts spells from intelligence, so that's going to be his 3, clearly. His wisdom is a 2. He's a bandit leader. He's got to have some big brain thoughts here. And his charisma, 0. So those are his stats. He can carry, the Hex Weaver can use a dagger, a sling, a spear, a staff, or a whip. This guy, he is going to carry a dagger, and he's not the staff kind of guy. He's a spear. That way he can also throw it if he needs to. They're allowed to wear 1 piece of armor, a gambeson. And so the gambeson is going to give him an 11 plus his dex. So that is going to make him an AC 12. Hit points, they have D4. So I always like that whatever you have is a starting of 4, or its maximum. So that'll be 4 for him, plus 1 for the con bonus. So he'll go 5. And then he's level 4. So we're going to do 3 of these, minimum half on each one, so he at least has something that we can work with. Let's see if we can get him in the box. 2, 4, 4. Well, that's pretty good. So we're 8, 10 more. So hit points are going to be 15 on this guy. Pretty solid. I like that. Now, Hex Weavers can cast spells using intelligence from their own specific spell list. So they have a designated spell list at level 4. He's going to know 4 first level spells and 2 second level spells. So his first level spell, let's see, he has, oh yeah, classic. He's going to have sleep. Not going to be great on our guys. He's going to have burning hands. Oh, interesting. Let's see. His options are alarm, burning hands, charm person, detect magic, featherfall, hold portal, light, protection from evil, or sleep. So we've already got these 2. You know what could be interesting? Because he's operating in the mountains, things like that, featherfall could be really interesting. Thinking back to our journey with the necromancer where he chose to dive off, and charm person, detect magic, charm person, just let's see, 4-2, we'll keep that down there for a second. Charm person seems awful. That might be a bad deal for our group. Sleep, not going to impact us a lot, but okay, then he's got 2 second level spells, so we could go acid arrow, augury, bless, blind and deafen, detect thoughts, hold person, invisibility, knock, levitate, mirror image, misty step, silence, web, or zone of truth. So, boy, there's some really good options. I love, so as we're making up some options, I love acid arrow. That'd be great. Blind deafen. For a guy who is a Hex Weaver, guy that usually is built to put the whammy on people, that sounds perfect. And hold person definitely sounds like something that would go with that. Invisibility, knock, mirror image also, for a guy who wants to protect his own skin, seems good. All really good. So let's just do this randomly. I don't like rolling d4s. I just don't like the way they do it. So we'll use the substitute, the d8. 1 to 2 is 1, 3 to 4 is 2, and so on. So we'll roll 2 of those just to see which ones we get. Got a 4 and a 1. So that'd be acid arrow and blind deafen. So we'll do that instead of wrestling out this forever, because that always makes for great content. So blind deafen. So that'll be that. Now his specialties. So Oh, and because he's going to go up in level, we're going to treat him just like a PC almost. One of the things he gets to do is Hex. So 3 times per day, he pronounces a hex on a target, and they have disadvantage to check for to their checks for the next round. Disadvantage 1 round on target. So that's one of their abilities. That could be his action. He's got twisted words, and that gives him advantage on manipulation, deceiving, and persuading. Don't know he's going to do a ton of that with us. And then probability, manipulation. The PM, start of each day, give a member of his party 1 luck token. Not sure if we're going to use that in this, but he then also gets his upgrade as a level. Rolls a 6, and on 6, gain advantage on casting 1 spell. Spell advantage. Let's see. We don't know which order he learned these in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just straight D6 roll. Let's see which one he's got. 3 Featherfall. It's not a bad pick. If you want something to work, it's always going to be that. So the others are great, but if he ever needs that, he's got advantage on Featherfall. So that's going to be our Hex Weaver. That's going to be our big bad. So we have our location. We know it's in the mountains. We know it's in the abandoned mine. We've got at least an initial map out, unsafe. We've got this. I'll clean this up, but this is going to be our random encounter table. The only thing we'll have left is some treasure to find out for it, and maybe we'll just randomly roll on the treasure table as we go along for that. And so that will just be a surprise to us as we go. I don't think there's anything specific I want to have in here as a major find. So I think that'll be it for us. There's our dungeon design for our upcoming adventure. We'll just see how our heroes do and see if there's any modifications we need to make as we go along. If it's too challenging or maybe not challenging enough, that would be a wonderful welcome surprise. But I think that does it for us. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's how I approach my dungeon and my adventure design. Hopefully it was helpful to you. And I'll look forward to playing through it and seeing you next time when we get back to the table.